After the recent storm, the weather is fine today. This is a rare sunny day this week. I think the rest of the week is forecast to be wet and windy. So, slightly different episodes this week. What I thought I'd do is take you on a short tour of our village, which is Crawford John. And trust me, it really will be a short tour because it's a tiny little village. There are only, I believe, around fewer than 100 people who live here. So, coming out of our gate there, you can see our cottage. We have the play park up there, and then next door is the pub that the four of us like to frequent. So let's start off with taking a little walk up this footpath here towards the park. So I'm saying it's a small village. It does have a lot of history though. It's been around since around the 1300s. It's an agricultural village, so traditionally farming. There's not an awful lot here. We have, as you know, a small village pub. And there is the Heritage Museum, which is a former kirk. And that is pretty much it. So here we are at the top of the play park, just at the front of our cottage. Whenever you see views of the cottage and the countryside beyond, it's more than likely this is where I'll be standing to take those shots. And as you can see, it is absolutely beautiful. So there you go, not an awful lot up here, just the play park. In that direction, again, you've got stunning views. About 20-minute drive that way is another village called Sanka. What a beautiful day it is today. Absolutely stunning. And down that road there, that's the road that you'll see me most often walk Benji and Alfie, because that's a very quiet road with very little traffic. And there's our little cottage and the pub just over there. It really does feel like a summer's day today. Right, let's go and explore the rest of the village. That road there heads out of the village, and that's the road that I'll often take to go towards work, heading towards the city and civilization. The old water pump for the village.
I've walked past this water pump so many times without really thinking about it. Before mains water reached places like our village, everyone would have relied on something like this. Every single day, which is kind of mad when you think about it now. It wasn't just practical either. This would have been one of those little social spots. People bumping into each other, catching up, and just general part of the rhythm of the village. It makes you realise how recently things changed. We think of this as really old history, but actually it's not that far removed at all. Nowadays it just sort of blends into the background. But once upon a time, this was essential.
The village postbox back there, you may remember the shot of me posting the cards at Christmas when it was covered in frost.
Straight into my eyes, started a fire in me.
Behind me you can see what used to be the village hall. It's now a residential property. Some of our neighbours live there, and the village hall has been rebuilt over in that direction to meet more modern requirements, I guess. Back down that way is the pub and our cottage. Now we'll go and take a look at the village garden. And as I mentioned, the village has a history of agriculture, hence the ploughman with the Clydesdale.
The village has always been rooted in farming. That's really what shaped everything here. Generations of people working the land, living with the seasons, and you can still see that in the layout of the place and the surrounding fields. But something that I didn't expect when we first moved here, it's actually well known for making curling stones. The local stone here is really tough, which made it ideal for curling. So stones from this area would have been used way beyond just the village. It's a bit of a strange mix when you think about it. Quiet farming life, but also a link to something as specific as curling. Just one of those things you'd never really know unless you looked into it.
So this beautiful space here is the village garden, where we occasionally congregate and have events such as, if you remember, last year's celebratory 1940s VE Day street party. So this garden is built on what used to be the old village primary school, used to be located just over here somewhere, and that was demolished because it was old and declining population, and they moved all the pupils to a local school that was far more modern. But when they demolished the school, the demolition had to come to a halt because they actually found human remains beneath the school.
Generations of children would have come through here completely unaware of what was beneath their feet. So during demolition work on the site, something unexpected was uncovered: human remains. It turns out that this area had been used for burials long before the school was ever built, which isn't actually that unusual in places like this. History tends to layer itself one generation on top of another. But it does change how you look at it. What feels like a normal, everyday place suddenly has a much longer story behind it. And it's a bit strange to think about children playing here, lessons being taught, all while part of the village's much older past was sitting quietly underneath. And I think that's what I find most interesting about places like this. You're never really just looking at the present. There's always something older hidden just beneath the surface.
Right, let's head over to the graveyard and the old kirk, the Heritage Museum. Don't you just love the smell of freshly cut grass? Anyway, behind me is the graveyard. We're going to head that way. We've got a newer graveyard down here, and we've got the old graveyard, which is the one at the back of our cottage, just behind me, beside the old kirk. In front of me there is the more modern-looking village hall, which is a far better space for holding events. You can see they have all the solar panels on the roof there to make the most of the glorious sunshine that we get from this direction, in particular on days like this. So we can actually go down that way and along the path to the graveyard, but part of this wall looks as though it collapsed a long time ago. So this is a shortcut. Just look at those views, aren't they incredible? Okay, here we are at the Heritage Museum, which used to be the old kirk. I'm not going to show inside because I already did that on a previous video. I'll put the link to that in the description below if you fancy jumping back and taking another look at that. But I myself am a volunteer here. The museum is open during spring, so from May the 2nd through until September. It's only open on a weekend from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. on a Saturday and a Sunday. So if you're in the area, feel free to pop by. There is lots of interesting history about the village and local surrounding areas inside there. Lots of artifacts, lots of curiosities, and who knows, if it's a day when I'm working, you may even bump into me. Lots of really old gravestones in here. And again, I did another video not too long ago actually on some of the history of this place. And if you remember, I was spent a considerable amount of time trying to locate the gravestone that has the skull and crossbones on it. And I think that's down there somewhere. It took me ages to find it. And there is our cottage. The back of our cottage, which looks different at the back because it's still white. So we need to get the sandblasters back out this year to strip off the rest of this white, as it is still causing high levels of humidity inside. I'm surprised the dogs aren't there because the door's open. And this is our closest neighbour, a chap called James, who unfortunately died at the age of 24 years old in 1845. Why, they didn't have to die young back in those days, didn't they? Adam's greenhouse, which has no glass in it, so he still needs to figure out what he's going to do with that. Hello, Benji. Are you wondering why I'm up here and you're not? And obviously the raised planters that we moved a few weeks ago. And over that direction, you can see in the distance is the nice garden with the tiki hut tucked away right in the corner. Benji, I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon and we'll go out for a walk once I've finished filming. And when I spoke to some of the other volunteers who work here, they said that they've also had a bit of a nightmare trying to stop the water getting in The weather just blows it and it just saturates that stone wall. So the only way that they could stop it is to have this gable end clad in wood. Hopefully we will not have to resort to that with the cottage. And if I head around this way, you can just see the ruins of the old Watchman house. I showed this in a previous video.
In my well-being. So what do you say? Do you think I'll make it out?
Providing shelter for men, guarding against body snatchers. Grim.
Do you think I'll make it out today? I'll keep on trying.
Right, and that is pretty much it. There really isn't an awful lot else. There is you can see the forests down there where I frequently walk the dogs. You've got the river down that direction, and there's a little picnic area where people sometimes like to camp by the river just down there. So we'll head down to the bottom of the graveyard through the gates, and then it is basically back up to the cottage. I told you it wasn't a very big place.
What do you say? Do you think it'll ever be okay?
Adam's planter that he put there in a previous video last year. And you'll recognise this place. This is where I often take the dogs for a walk, because it's a nice quiet road with very little traffic, and all the baby lambs are out. Let's see if we can get some shots of them. Absolutely gorgeous, aren't they? This really does make my day when I come down here and I see the lambs. Hello, Benj. Could you hear me? Could you hear me talking? Yes. I'll be back in a minute. 2 minutes. Good boy. Right, so here we are back at the crossroads. Got the play park up there, pub there, cottage here, back at the beginning. A slightly different episode for this week. Quite a short video, but I think after the last couple of weeks of just working non-stop in the garden, trying to get it all prepared, ready for spring, I thought we'd just have an easy Aussie episode. Hello, Benj. It's funny how I get all the attention from the Labradors when there's food on the go, isn't it? Huh?
You got me shaking, yeah, I feel the fever coming on. Oh, you know you're all I want. Keep saying that I hate it, but it's gone.
It's such a beautiful day again today that I thought, for a change, I would work down here at the bottom of the garden in the tiki hut. So for today, this is going to be my workstation. So the plan is I'm going to do some filming in and around the garden, just some B-roll footage of Adam's plants and things like that and the countryside views. Then I'm going to do a little bit of editing for this week's episode on my laptop. It's quite a powerful laptop, so it does need quite a lot of juice to keep it going. So I have it plugged into my Jackery Explorer 2000 V2, which I am giving a try and see how we get on. Now, normally I can't work in the garden because the devices constantly need charging, so I'm backwards and forwards up to the cottage to charge my laptop, charge my camera batteries, and charge my drone batteries and any other gadgets and gizmos that I may have. So hopefully I'll be able to have a lovely peaceful afternoon working outdoors without the hassle of running backwards and forwards to the cottage. Let's see how we get on. Hello, Alfie. You come to help me edit video with Benji. You come to help? Yes, I know, Benj. I can see you. Okay, so I've been filming for around an hour, just lots of little bits of B-roll footage to put in next week's episodes. My battery's starting to die, I've got one bar. Because I film in such high resolution, at minimum 4K, it does seem to use quite a lot of battery power on the camera. So I can usually film for around an hour before it starts to run out of juice. So I'm going to swap it over with my spare battery in there, plug this one in my Jackery to charge, and save me having to run up to my office and charge it all the time. Ah, it's the wrong plug. No matter, there's USB-C charging ports on the front there anyway.
Take off.
Okay, so because I haven't used this for a while, the batteries weren't fully charged anyway. There was only 2 bars out of 4 for power, so no matter, I can just plug them in the tiki hut and charge them. Okay, so put that one in, take a fresh one out, and then plug it into charge. Simple as that. Right, that was good fun. I think I got plenty of footage from that, so pop the battery in there to charge. And I'm glad it has these USB and USB-C charging points because it keeps this socket free for me to make a cup of tea while I edit the footage. Hello, Benj. Up. Where's your brother? Where's Alfie? Has he gone indoors? Well, the sun has gone in, but I have my hot cup of tea, so all is good. So I'm just going to spend the next couple of hours editing all of the footage that I've shot and see how far I get with this thing. So I think it was around 58% power when I first started using it, when I first brought it out into the garden. It's down to around 48%, so it hasn't used an awful lot, and that's with me plugging all my batteries into charge and boiling the kettle to make myself a cup of tea. I can definitely see it will get used quite a lot because you know how many power cuts we have here in the village. So it's likely we'll use it to power things when we do have a power cut. But at the moment, it is really nice just working outdoors.
Well, that's it for this week, folks. Hope you enjoyed coming along with me for a quick tour of the small village that we now call home, while the weather is decent. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Should we head back into the cottage and get you some biscuits? Huh? Would that be nice for Labradors? You know Alfie will want some as well, don't you? Huh? Come on then, let's go and get some biscuits. Biscuits to go with our tea.